doing today? Last night I heard a very interesting podcast from the How Stuff Works crew. It was a car stuff episode about "You're Doing It Wrong" was the title. It was about driving techniques and the rules of the road and common mistakes that people make. And I found it a very interesting episode, but it brought up a couple of things that I wasn't entirely sure about, and I thought I'd share with everybody. So the first thing is the fast lane, the passing lane. I've never 100% understood exactly proper etiquette behind the passing lane. And here's what I mean by that. Yes, you're supposed to go the speed limit in the rightmost lane and then mug over to the left when you pass a car. But then in addition to that, you're A, not supposed to tailgate, and B, not supposed to cut people off. So you got to give plenty of distance. If, it's an open road, plenty of distance when you get over, so you're not tailgating them, and then get way past them. Make sure that there's that, I like the 2-second rule because that makes sense. It scales with speed. So give them that 2.5 seconds of space in between you, and then mug over to the left. Now, what if by the time you mug over to the left, there's another car right up in front, and you can tell that they're also going slower? Well, then why mug over to the left? Why are you weaving in and out of traffic? Isn't that bad? I don't know. I'm asking. So a lot of times then I'm up on the left lane, passing cars. I'm not going, if it's a 55-mile-an-hour road, I'm probably going 62, but I'm consistently passing cars. But then a guy comes up and starts tailgating me because he wants to go, 68. Well, that's faster than I'd care to go to, but I'm still going faster than the guys who are in the right lane. So who's doing the right thing here? And plus, aren't we all in trouble? Because we're all going faster than the speed limit, except for those guys who are over on the right. Are we all doing something illegal? So what's the proper etiquette there? I'm not exactly sure. I understand the concept, though, and I really appreciate that, and I think that's fine. Stay to the right, and then when you need to pass somebody, mug on over to the left. No big deal. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, the other thing is merging. There's some people around here who just have a hellish time understanding how to merge into traffic. Right? So basically you're on, and I'm riding on a 6-lane road, but there's 3 lanes in going south. Okay? So if there were to be a merge area coming up here, it would essentially turn into a 4th lane for 100 yards or so. If the traffic here is moving but heavy, you'll see people who will come into that 4th lane and then slowly creep all the way down that 100 yards, and then sit there at the end and not have any opportunity to get into the lane immediately to their left, the rightmost southbound lane, because they don't have an opportunity to get to speed. So you'll be going on this lane 40 miles an hour, and there'll be a big gap in between you and the car in front of you. But this person who's trying to get in doesn't have the time to get in, because in order for them to actually get over to the left and then accelerate, even if they tromp down on the gas, if they got into that gap, the person behind that gap would then have to decelerate in order to avoid hitting this person, even if they were to tromp down on the gas. Whereas if that person who had pulled out had not creeped, had sat there patiently and waited for a gap to appear, and then when he saw the gap appear, accelerate well before the gap actually arrived, slowly got up to speed, and then, so here's the gap and here's the car. Right, gap's back here. Car starts slowly accelerating, and then is able to merge directly into that gap. And then neither the car in front nor the car behind the gap would have to change anything. They could both be on cruise control, and you just merge right in, and you're zipping along with traffic, no problem. Now, that's an ideal situation. Doesn't always work out that way. But then the thing that gets me is that's what I'm doing, trying to find that gap. So I've got this 100 yards of ramp in front of me, waiting patiently, and I'm sitting all the way back, and people are honking at me. I'm waiting for a gap. But people seem to think that I'm the idiot. What do you think? You ever experience anything like that? And then what are the other rules of the road that bug you? Oh, I tell you, there's one other thing that used to get me. This is a little difficult to explain and understand. Maybe if I'm feeling fancy tonight, maybe I'll make an animation so you guys can see. There was a road, it was this exact same route, probably about 10 miles south. When you're heading north, it branches off into another route. This is where 355 meets 28. So when you're heading north on 355, you can go to the left onto 28. And there is actually 2 turning lanes. Okay? there's one turning lane that appears, and then that one turning lane splits into 2 lanes. Now, I used to go that way on my commute, and when I got into that turning lane, I wanted to be in the rightmost turning lane. So I would, as soon as the turning lanes appeared, I would get in that turning lane and then stay straight. Now, when you get into that turning lane, there's a gap in the white dotted lines. There's no white dotted lines. Then white dotted lines appear. And so now, if you are in the rightmost turning lane, before there is a leftmost turning lane, on your right, there will be white dotted lines, and on your left, there is a curb. Then the curb merges to the left, or goes off to the left, makes a new lane, the white dotted lines disappear. There are still no white dotted lines on your left. And you can merge into that leftmost turning lane. Then white dotted lines appear again. So now you've got white, if you're in the rightmost turning lane, you have white dotted lines on both sides of you. On your right is the leftmost straight going lane, and on your left is the leftmost turning lane. So again, I'm heading north on the leftmost lane, merge immediately into the rightmost turning lane, and then stay in the rightmost turning lane as the leftmost appears. Yeah. So I would do that, and then of course I'm coming up on a red light, so I would immediately decelerate, and then I would move forward, maybe about 50 yards or so before the second lane appears, and another 50 yards before the stop. So I merge to the left and then immediately let off the gas because I'm cruising on up to a red light. So I'm slowing down, and the guys behind me, and this is very rare this is what happened, but it would happen. The guy behind me, so I'm going like this, and then I go like this and slow down so the guy in front of me comes up, and then he wants to get in the lane where I'm at. So he comes this way and is honking at me because he can't get where I'm at. He wants to cross the double yellows into the lane where I am. So I'm not sure what he was expecting. I'm thinking that he's thinking that since I got in the turning lane immediately, I got to keep going. So I'm not sure why people do that. It's always kind of jerked my chain, but I don't go that way anymore, so no big deal. Plus, I'm not much of a road rager. You know, people want to act a fool out on the road, they can go ahead and do that. Oh, the other thing is tailgating. Boy, this is going to be a long episode. Tailgating. Why do people get upset when other people tailgate them? I'm not much of a tailgater. My wife and mother-in-law probably think I am, because if somebody jumps in front of me, I just let go of the gas and I see if I can avoid hitting the brake. And I will often get very, very close to them. Of course, they're on high alert. You're staring at their brake light. You know, you're waiting for it to appear. And I know that I run the risk because if that light goes off, I gotta slam on the brakes. I don't have a choice. But it's rare that that happens, and I'm really just trying to avoid using the brake, you know? But other than that, I don't really like to tailgate. I don't understand why people do. But man, if someone's tailgating me, I don't care at all. Whatever you want to do back there, buddy, I don't give a rat's butt. My interest is everything that's happening from about 4 o'clock all the way over to about 7 o'clock. Anything that's going on back there, it doesn't really matter until I start to merge. Then you can check your blind spot. But check your blind spot, you merge, and you're done. Well, so, I mean, you tell me. Does it bother you when you get tailgated on? Does it bother you when people try and cross double whites? Was I using the term double this whole time? I didn't mean double. Dotted white. I hope I wasn't using doubles. And what about merging? Are you good at using the entrance ramp to get to speed with traffic? Are other people in your neighborhood not very good at it, like some of the people in mine? And not everybody. Some people are real good. But I want your opinion about the rules of the road. I think it's probably be a heavy one. And check out the How Stuff Works car stuff episode. It's pretty heavy. Anyway, our car stuff show. Anyway, everybody have a great day.